Hey, welcome to Potholes to Paved Roads. This is Jonathan Overstreet. Man, another beautiful evening. Of course you know where I'm at. I don't have to say it again, but Tulsa, Oklahoma. Just out delivering some pizza. Had something on my brain, something I've been thinking about, and that's this. You guys, sometimes being a parent to an autistic kid is absolutely got to be the most confusing parenting that you can do. Now, don't get me wrong, no parenting is easy. There's nothing easy about being a parent. But at the same time, one of the other hard things about being a parent is you don't immediately see changes in your kids. Like as far as, what am I trying to say? I think what I'm trying to say is this. You can't tell exactly how good or how bad you're doing as a parent in the moment. You just can't. It's hard. I had a conversation with my mom the other day, and we were talking about how, like between the differences between me and my brother. My brother cried a lot when he was a kid, and he was very whiny. And dude, this guy grew up to be a man. This guy hits the gym a lot. He's in pretty good shape. My brother, I really admire his work ethic, especially when it comes to taking care of himself. And I just really think that's cool. But when he was a kid, he was kind of whiny. But here's the deal with me. When I was a kid, I was a liar. I lied just constantly. There's been things that I've told my mom, like she would bring up memories from my childhood. She would talk about things from my childhood, and sometimes I would say something and she'd say, "What? That's not what you told me at the time." We go back and reveal and just realize that, man, I lied a lot when I was a kid. And a lot. Like, a whole lot. I don't... Oh man, it's that's a little embarrassing, but I don't know. We're all kind of stupid when we're kids, so no offense. I know it doesn't really sound politically correct to say that, but come on. I love my kids, but I'm not a big fan of other people's kids. Sometimes they drive me nuts. But back to us, me and my brother. So that's how we were when we were kids. But my mom told me there was so many times when we were kids that she thought, oh my God, these guys are going to end up in jail. They're going to end up in jail, or I'm going to end up killing them because they're doing something stupid. But that's just kind of how it is when you have kids. And then you throw in an extra layer of autism, which is very confusing, very complicated, very up and down. So I've noticed something lately about my autistic son. When coronavirus kicked off and they shut down all the churches, we waited a while to go back to church. And I don't know, it was a good at least 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, I don't know, I lost count, that we completely didn't go to church. It was to the point where I was really not even watching online services very much. That was that bad, guys. And I think doing something like that, you build it up to become a habit, but it's a good habit. It's a good thing to do. I'm not preaching at you. I'm not trying to tell you have to go to church to go to heaven, or you need to go to church, but you need community of some sort in your life. If you don't have community, you need it. So, we start going back to church, I guess several weeks ago, and I started noticing something about my autistic son. One of the major things I started noticing is that, guys, this kid misses his dad so much when I'm not around. And if I had $1 for every time my son asked me to watch a movie with him when I got home from work at the Postal Service, I'd be a millionaire. Because this kid will ask every single day, will you sit down and watch something with me? And guys, like 99.9% out of 100, I almost always tell him, son, I'm sorry, I've got to get ready and go to the other job. So with me quitting the other job, that's major, guys. Because now we'll be able to spend some more time with my kids. And not just my autistic son, but all three of my children. And guys, it just melts my heart to see. And you can talk to my wife. Since we have been going back to church, my son has been overall quite a bit better. My autistic son has been quite a bit better. And you know what? There's two sides of the coin. It could be the going to church, or it could be the extra time he's getting with me for a few hours every Sunday morning. Because I'm telling you, if you got to see what I was talking about, it makes sense to you. Because I'm talking, he likes to sit by me. He likes to put his arm around me, or me to have my arm around him, or to be holding him in some kind of way. I mean, he's 12 years old, guys. I mean, my other son is almost, he's 9, but he's more like, don't touch me. No, I mean, maybe, he might not be that bad. Hold on a second, guys. All right, hold on a second, guys. Let's pause for a minute. All right, we're back. So, where was I? Okay, so I'm noticing that my son really just desperately wants more attention from me. And it's not just him. It's not really just him. There are times when my other son, my youngest son, he constantly wants me to give him a piggyback ride. I mean, constantly wants a piggyback ride. Dad, please give me a piggyback ride. Give me a piggyback ride. If he sees me anywhere close to my bed, as far as like getting clothes on to get dressed for work or whatever, he'll jump on my back and he wants a piggyback ride. That's just how he is. And guys, quitting Domino's and getting, extra money from the Postal Service, guys, it's gonna be a totally different world. I'm actually really, really excited about it. I'm really excited to get to spend more time with my family, because I need this, guys, and my family needs this. And I guess the whole point behind what I'm talking about today is this, and this is something that's been on my heart so much lately, and that is that true love means loving someone in the good times and in the bad times. Because there are some times when my son is very, very, very disobedient, very rude. Guys, he said some of the rudest things you can imagine to my wife before. Like, things that I don't think I would ever say to my wife. And that gets complicated. It's really, really, really hard to love somebody in those times. But true love loves someone, whether they're good or bad, they still love them. And they still show love. They're patient. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is enduring. So I heard it said one time, guys, how do you spell love? T-I-M-E. That's how you spell love, is time. And one of the things I've always struggled with is this. Whenever I move away from someone who's a really good friend of mine, I don't know what it is, but I almost always struggle with keeping that friendship. I do. I don't know what it is about. If I don't see a person every day, or see a person every week, or once a month at least, something, I struggle. I struggle to be their friend. It's nothing against them, it's me. I think it's a problem with me. It's, I feel like when you're out of sight and I don't get to see you anymore, it's like I struggle being able to prioritize our friendship. And that's caused me to think to myself that maybe I need to work on myself as a friend. And I'll be real vulnerable for a minute, guys, and say this. My dad and my biological father, he's very much like that, in that if you don't call him, or if you don't reach out to him, you will not hear from him. So I'm saying all that to say this. I struggle with that. But when it comes to being a good dad and a good husband and showing love to my family, you don't get another try at this. You don't get a take two. You don't get a redo on this. If you don't get yourself straight now, then you're screwed. You're going to spend the rest of your life trying to rebuild a relationship with your family that you could have had when you had them right there in your home. But now your daughter's married and moved off. Your son's in college, and possibly in another state or in another town or somewhere away from you. And now that relationship that you don't have right there in your grasp, right there in your face, right there in your home every day, that coming home to those people every day, having that close-knit family, then you spend the rest of your life having to rebuild something that you squandered when you had the chance to build it. And guys, I don't want to live that way. I just don't. I don't want to look back in 10 years, my daughter will be 24 years old. And as independent as my daughter is, I can almost guarantee you she's going to be out of the house in 10 years. She's going to be out of the house before 10 years. And so all that time that I had to spend time with her, who, by the way, right now seems to be very secluded. Maybe it's just something about teenage girls where they want to be alone or something. She's constantly saying, well, I'm going to my room. And she'll just hang out in her room. Guys, I don't want to squander this time I've got with my family. That's part of the reason it's so good that I am quitting Domino's. And now the extra time that I spend is going to be time during the day that I'll have time in the evening to spend time with my family. I'll be home every evening with my family. And that's going to mean the world, guys. Not only to them, but it's going to mean the world to me. Because I miss my family. And I love being with my family. Now, there are days when my autistic son just wreaks havoc. I mean, it's absolute hell in our house sometimes. I have to say this. I really think that it may be good for my daughter to get some counseling. Because there have been times where there's yelling matches between me and my autistic son, or between my wife and me together against my autistic son. And it's tough. You know, we come from a background, we got spanked when we were kids. And there was a period of time where I felt in my heart and my spirit that I shouldn't spank my autistic son. But those times are past. Now if you don't put a hand or a small belt to his butt sometimes, you're not going to get his attention. Because guys, he's getting bigger. He's growing. So what am I trying to say? What's the point behind all this? Guys, the point is, if you're going to be with your family, be with your family. Put down the phone. There have been times me and my wife will have just a little date night between me and her, and I've caught both of us. We'll be sitting there sometimes just staring at our phones. Just staring at our phones. We're completely distracted. And that leads me to this. Guys, in the road of life, don't drive distracted. Don't take your eyes off the road. And just remember, I want you to remember this. Anybody that can drive a car, you know this. This is so important. Think about this. When you're driving your car, it takes very, very, very small movements to steer a car. If you're in a lane, you could just swing just a half an inch, a quarter of an inch to the right, and you're going to go off course. So guys, that makes parenting very difficult. That makes it hard to stay situated, stay in your lane. It makes it hard to get through this road, because this is a journey. Parenting is a journey. Guys, don't drive distracted. Don't get distracted. When you're in the moment, be in the moment. Be there. Be there mentally. You might be tired. You might have worked 12 hours. You might have worked 10 hours. Whatever. Be there in that moment. Don't push all this off to later. Guys, this sounds so stupid and so dumb, but I have got an episode that I've been wanting to do for the longest time on procrastination, and take a wild guess what I've been doing with it. I've been putting it off. It's how ironic. How ironic is that? But guys, if you're in the moment, be in the moment. Don't drop the ball. Play the game. Stay focused. It's like Chris Hogan from Dave Ramsey says this all the time. I love this phrase. He says, I'm focused and not finished. Because guys, when you get finished, you're done. You don't have to think about all this stuff anymore. You're finished. There is no more. It's complete. Finito, it's done. But when you're in the game, when you're on the road, don't drive distracted. Keep yourself focused on what you're doing. Because guys, this is important. This is so important. I said this a few episodes ago, but I have a friend, well, sort of a friend, a guy I met one time, and I kind of spent a little bit of time with him. He used to be really good friends with my grandfather, and I don't want to say his name, I don't want to say his relationship or anything like that to my grandfather, anything like that, but I will say this. This guy was a wonderful guy to be around. Very sociable. Very fun. And he flat out told me one time that we were talking about something, and I was starting to notice from being around him a little bit that he seemed to have quite a bit of money. And one day I was like, hey, what do you do for a living? And he told me what he did for a living. And it was a good job. It was a very high-paying job. But not only did he do the job, he went above and beyond. He traveled a lot. I want to say he worked in the oil field, but he traveled a lot. Guys, he made all the money he knew what to do with, but he said that he spent so much time away from his wife and children that he essentially completely lost his family. Guys, I'm not saying that if you don't, I'm not saying that if you go off and you have to move and travel to work, that I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But for him, his reason for telling me that was to tell me to be there for my family. Be in the moment. Take a job where you can spend more time. He said, I would have took a job making less money if I could have been at home with my family more. But at the time, I would always say, well, I'll spend time with him when I can. Next time, I'll spend time with him when I can. And he kept putting it off and kept putting it off. Guys, I don't want to lose my family. I don't think I'm anywhere close to losing my family, but I don't even want to think about the possibility of it. I want to raise my kids to know me as dad, to love me as their dad. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't be a very good dad if I was never home. And we have sacrificed, guys. I've been gone and working this extra job for over a year, about a year and a couple months. And it's taken its toll on me emotionally, physically, with my sleep. I'm very tired a lot. But more than anything, I've put off relationships with my kids. And we're done with that. It's almost over. We're almost out of debt. But just think, guys, momentary sacrifice, it's worth it. It's worth it. But you got to stay focused. But as soon as you see that finish line and it's time to pull the plug, and step back, get back with your family, do it. Don't wait. Don't put it off. Don't keep getting after it. If you keep being gazelle intense, you're gonna struggle. It's gonna be difficult. But here in a second, I'll explain what it means to be a gazelle intense, and then we'll call it a day, guys. All right, so what does gazelle intense mean? What in the world does that mean? For anybody not familiar with Dave Ramsey, you're probably scratching your head, but it's pretty easy to figure out. If you've ever watched like a Nature Channel or Discovery Channel or something like that, and you see a cheetah take off after a gazelle, and you see how the gazelle will run as hard as he can, as far as he can to get away from that cheetah. And if he pushes hard enough, he can outrun the cheetah. But here's the deal. That's what I've been doing for the last probably around 18 months. When it comes to debt. Debt is the cheetah. Debt is that cheetah that's just chasing after me. Mainly due to dumb and stupid decisions me and my wife have made, but that's been the cheetah. I've been the gazelle for the last 18 months. And the only thing I've been focusing on is getting out of debt, is getting having a better life financially. So think about it like this. So for the past 18 months, I've been sort of an absentee dad. I mean, as hard as that is to say, I feel like a jerk even saying that, but it's true. So I've been an absentee dad for the last 18 months. I haven't been plugged in much. There's been a few family nights we've had, but half the time we used to have family nights on a night that I'm off from Domino's, but the night before at Domino's I would have closed, and then I would have had to turn right back around with like 3 or 4 hours of sleep and went into the Postal Service, worked all day there. So then I come home and I'm just exhausted. Half the time I'd fall asleep during the movie or fall asleep during whatever we're doing. And so that's been me for 18 months, and that's about to change a little bit. Now I'm going to be able to spend more time with my family. I'm going to be able to slow down just a little and catch my breath. And I'm excited about this new adventure. I'm excited for the change. I'm excited for what's coming. I'm excited to be able to spend more time with my wife. I've been an absentee husband for 18 months. But think about it like this. I've been an absentee husband and an absentee dad for about 18 months. But think about the payoff. Think about not having to worry about the number one cause of divorce is money fights. Think about the fact that I'm not going to have to worry about that anymore. Sure, there's going to be decisions we have to make financially, but it's just not the same. You can breathe easy. I'm getting to that point where that financial peace, it's here, and I'm feeling it. Guys, I just want to say thanks for listening. You guys rock, man. Thanks for all the support. Like I've said before, we're on Twitter. We have a Facebook page. I don't even know why I tell you guys we're on Instagram. Instagram is like millions and millions and millions and millions of people use Instagram, and I hardly ever do anything with it. So I've been kind of slacking with that. But we'll get there eventually. And also, one other thing I got to address, I have no idea why, like I've told you before, I'm not technically savvy at all. I don't know why, but I can't figure out why Stitcher only puts up certain episodes. Like, for some odd reason, Stitcher skips, like, they've got like half of my episodes up, and the other half are just nowhere to be found. I'm not real sure why it does that. But either way, guys, thank y'all for listening. You rock. This is Jonathan Overstreet, and you were listening to Potholes to Paved Roads.